morning, everybody. As always, I'll start with an update on public safety this year. This year, homicides are down additional 29.5%. Non-fatal shootings are down 20.9%. Aggravated assaults are down 10%. Carjackings are down 21%. Robberies are down 30%. And auto thefts are down 32% in Baltimore. And just to reiterate what we said yesterday, August is historically one of the deadliest months of the year for Baltimore. Last August, there were 18 homicides. This August, there were seven. Seven too many, but the fewest on record for Baltimore. And through the month of August, we've had 91 homicides, 91 too many for me, but 91 is the fewest that Baltimore's had through August on any year in record. But we know that while we are making this real progress, everyone on my team, everyone in this partnership remains committed to focusing solely on that mission, and that's reducing gun violence in Baltimore even further. In contrast, we know that the president continues to waste taxpayer dollars by sending the National Guard in D.C. to plant flowers and ordering federal law enforcement to conduct random traffic stops. These law enforcement officers, I want to remind everyone, have an actual job to do, like going after gun traffickers, removing folks who are committing violent crimes from our cities, going after violent drug organizations. That's what their job is on a daily basis. If the president really wanted to make us safer, he let them get back to doing that important work wherever they are from in the country. And to be very clear, we're good. We don't need or want the National Guard here in Baltimore. The best way to help us continue to make this historic progress that we are already making is to restore funding for public safety programs, pass a federal ban on both ghost guns and Glock switches, and repeal the T. Hart Amendment, allowing local governments to fully track down where the weapons used in the committance of crime on their streets come from. Because we know here in Baltimore, more than 60% of them come from other states. Now, I have three more items at the top. First, as many of you know, we've been having conversations with residents about the future of the Sisson Street transfer station for some time now. We've done significant community engagement on this project, and we heard feedback from residents who are invested in the future of that site. Through this process, we heard a range of opinions on what should happen with the site. So to solidify a clear recommendation from these stakeholders, I'm creating a Sisson Street task force, which will include city council members, neighborhood associations, and obviously representatives from city government. Together, they will consider all options for the future of the transfer station, including keeping it where it is, moving it, or simply closing it. And they will make a recommendation to me by December. As always, this is about the needs of our residents, our workers in DPW, and the cleanliness and safety of our neighborhoods throughout the city of Baltimore. Second, on Saturday, Baltimore will host the Maryland Cycling Classic. For the first time, the course is entirely in city limits. That means world-class racing will be, excuse me, sorry, y'all. That means world-class racing will be right here for our residents and visitors to enjoy. But we also have on the same day the 30th anniversary of 2131. For those who may not be from Baltimore, that's the Cal Ripken game, and a sold-out show at the arena. There will be traffic. This is a major city with major city events. There will be traffic. It also means with having the Cycling Classic that there will be traffic closures. The first race begins at 8:30 a.m. The last race ends no earlier than 4:30 p.m. We encourage folks to use Waze to navigate and avoid driving throughout those places in the city throughout that race. We want folks to enjoy themselves at the game, at the concert, at the race, but understand that there will be significant traffic impact. And lastly, because I may not talk to you guys before the end of the week, Friday is the first official Purple Friday in the city of Baltimore, so I'm declaring it okay for everyone to bring out their Ravens gear. And if you have a gear from the Steelers, the Bills, and the Chiefs, find your local trash can or take it to Sisson Street. So we will be returning to Buffalo to seek revenge on the AFC playoffs from last year and start our run to the Super Bowl. And with that, I will turn it over to you guys for questions.
Mr. Mayor, morning. Asking more about the possibility of federal intervention here. Just curious what you thought. In D.C., residents across the city have taken to confronting federal agents, the National Guard, taking the streets. They've yelled at them. They're chasing other neighborhoods. They're patrolling their neighborhoods and warning neighbors. I guess it's two things. How do you think Baltimoreans would respond if federal intervention were to happen here? And then how do you think they should respond?
I think that we have to understand the moment that we're in right now, and that we have to be very careful that we don't give them what they want, because it seems they want chaos. It seems that they want certain communities and certain types of people, especially people that look like me, to be easily depicted as violent or born criminals, so to speak. We have to make sure that we don't give them that. And we have to make sure that we, at the same time, stand up for our city and our neighbors and our neighborhoods, but we cannot allow them to get what they want. Our job is to win the fight for our city and for democracy in this country, and not allow the president or anyone else who wakes up in the morning thinking that it's okay to say that people in these places are born criminal. It's okay to ignore historic progress. It's okay to ignore the Constitution of the United States. It's okay to ignore the sanctity of states, which is something that the Republican Party, up until January of this year, seemed to be willing to die for, that they can just throw that away. And I want our residents to know that we are going to do everything we can to protect our residents and to keep this historic progress that we're already making in Baltimore when it comes to violent crime. We have done this together without this kind of authoritarian assistance being forced upon us. And we want to continue to do it the right way. But the most important thing that we can do is not to let them win.
As it becomes clearer and clearer that the Guard will likely be sent here at some point, what kinds of preparations are going on in your office? And what kind of conversations are you having apparently, specifically with city police about how to interact with Guard members if they are on our streets?
So, Emily, we're going to take every appropriate action based on what actually happens. We're having all the necessary conversations to do whatever we need to do from a legal or enforcement point of view, and I'll just leave it at that for now.
Legally, do you have to cooperate with them? I know we've seen some level of cooperation in D.C.
Well, we know D.C. is different from every other city. We will take every appropriate legal action and operate within the Constitution of the United States, within the Constitution of Maryland, and the laws of Baltimore City.
Yes, branching off of that, I was wondering if you've been in contact with Governor Moore about the possible deployment of federal troops to Baltimore and what those conversations have entailed.
Yes, they entail the same exact things that I just said to Emily.
And would the city consider any potential legal action to stop Trump from trying to deploy troops here?
We, as I said before, we are looking at any legal action, appropriate action that we can take within the Constitution. We'll take it.
Does your Sisson Street Task Force mean you're backing off of the Falls Road recommendation?
It means that I'm putting it back in the hands of the community and with folks. It wasn't Sisson Street wasn't the only location offered up before. We're going to put that back out to the community again, allow them to come back to me with a recommendation. We'll move forward from there.
And any time frame when you would like to?
It said by December. I'm sorry if I didn't say that loud enough earlier.
And how does this affect the city council bill about selling the Sisson Street property?
So everything will just stay as is for now.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor. Congratulations on the success of non-plasma with the crime statistics in the city. Switching gears a little bit, you always say that nobody is above the law and that you are determined to hold everybody accountable no matter who they are. Your chief of staff, Calvin Young, was caught in a city vehicle going 69 in the 55 zone heading to Mako, and sources say he was highly compatible with Maryland State Police. Are you planning to hold your chief of staff accountable?
He'll be held accountable by the courts in the state of Maryland. That's the reality. And we will go from there. We have to let all legal processes play out. There will be no different than your employer. If you did that, we will hold the chief of staff accountable in that way.
Mr. Mayor, if I was in a Sinclair vehicle, I was going 65, or excuse me, 89 and 55, I was compatible with the police, so I'd be fired immediately. Are you planning to hold your chief of staff accountable?
I think that you have to understand this. There's a court of law in Maryland. And when the court of law makes their ruling, we'll make our ruling. We know how things work. Words, right?
Regarding the fire on North Howard and Fayette, since this was a large vacant building and a few of those surrounding, is the city, I guess, either doing anything different or planning to do anything moving forward about number of vacants that are within the city? Does this spur any different action going forward?
It's okay, Ed, don't worry. No, we know that we have our vacants plan, and the plan is the plan. It has vacants at a historic low in the city of Baltimore. We're going to continue that partnership that we have with the city, with the private community, with the actual community, with the state of Maryland to continue to drive down vacancies. We're going to eliminate vacant properties in Baltimore over a 15-year span. But the now 12,000 and something that we have today are the fewest that we've had in 2 decades. Emily, go ahead.
Many of the properties, I believe, that burned yesterday or were involved in the fire were on the super block, which is a block that's been
Talked about a lot.
renovation for a long time. Does this set back the plans for that block at all? Does this complicate matters? And what's your plan to stabilize that area, which is already struggling?
Yeah, Howard Street is an important thing. And they've been talking about super block since I was at Merville High School, right? And I think that what we'll now see based on once the investigation and actually, as you know, there's still activity there, all that stuff is complete, to see the full length of the damage and what that means for the rest of the block. And then we'll go forward to see before commenting on how it will impact the proposed development. But we know that it needs to happen there. It's something that we're going to continue to do. It's one of the reasons, quite frankly, Emily, that I decided to take the route that I took with the CFG Bank Arena to try to help spur that, because we know there had been no real development there for quite some time.
The block has languished for a long time. Do you think that contributed to this fire?
I think that we don't know. I think that we have to see what the actual cause was, right? We don't know what the cause is, and I wouldn't get in front of any ATF or fire investigation into that.
Do you have any updates on businesses displaced, lives lost, cost to the city?
No lives lost that we know of this point, and all the other stuff is minimal. We won't. All the other stuff will, like costs and damage, that'll be a part of the investigation. We know that light rail is still closed with the bus helping, but they expect it to be open tomorrow. All right.
Yesterday on WKZ, you were asked about DC Mayor Bowser's remarks that the federal task force that has reduced crime. You made a remark that if Commissioner Worley had 500 more officers, essentially the same could happen here. Do you want to expand on those at all?
It's very simple. I think that as you know, I went into deeper explanation there yesterday. When you just drop them out there, right? It'll go down for a period of time, but it's about who, right? I think that I've been very clear to folks that data does not lie. When you think about, it's always been about who, not how many, right? So when you think about the years of 1999, for example, versus now, they were making a lot more arrests back then. They also had a lot more homicides, right? It's about who they're extracting. So what I would say to folks like you all is about who are those people that were arrested there? How many of them were a part of violent groups or drug organizations in DC? How many of them were people that were gun offenders or had committed violent gun crime? How many of them were gun traffickers? How many of them were wanted for robbery or for carjacking, for murder or for shooting? Versus how many of them were just delivering food on the back of on a scooter? How many of them were just outside? How many of them just had tinted windows on their cars, right? That's what I'm talking about. It's about who. Our focus is on removing the right folks from the streets of Baltimore who've committed the crime. Thank y'all. I'm going to a doctor's appointment now. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I really appreciate it. One last question. I spent last Thursday, the full day, in Carrollton Bridge. Our team did, speaking to folks, also visiting some of the open air drug markets there. And believe it or not, a lot of people actually said that they wanted federal law enforcement intervention. I frankly was shocked to hear that, considering that's contrary to your messaging. Where's the disconnect?
I think that when you have, we know that places like Carrollton Ridge, where I probably have spent 100 times more times than you have there. I was actually there last Thursday myself. When you see the disinvestment that has happened there for 60, 70 years, when you know the things that happened when drugs just popped up in that neighborhood after not being there for all of those times, when you lived through some of those things, is why I spent so much time there myself and during my time in office, right? That's why when we're doing my cleanups, it's with the place that I want to kick it off at every time, even though my team doesn't want to allow me to do it. I think that you have to understand that. And while I understand folks who may be looking for a quote unquote fast and immediate solution to something that has been existing in that neighborhood for decades, I also know that it's my responsibility to know and do what's right, not what's popular, not what's a quick fix, but what will actually solve the issue versus putting a Band-Aid on it. Thank you.